So welcome
Thank you.
to Eat It Virginia. We have Jim Hamilton of say the pronunciation of what you're doing now.
Sous Casa, S-O-U-S.
Right. So Sous as in sous chef, Sous Casa. Is that how it's going together?
Copy. Yep. That's it.
Perfect. And it is a frozen burrito concept?
Yes, it is. Freshly frozen and delivered to your door. Very convenient.
So I'm going to get a couple food questions out of the way before you guys get music nerded food out. I have had people ask me, first, you have like a variety of different types of burritos. So if I was gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, love the heck out of meat, I can get it all, right?
We got you. Yep.
And what made you decide to do all of those varieties?
Well, it's just kind of my background in music. So many different people we cook for. So, I mean, we got to cook for everybody from the truck drivers all the way to the talent. So, so it's fun, you know.
And your favorite burrito that you are putting out right now?
My favorite burrito is hard to say. Maybe the al pastor or the chicken enchiladas.
Oh, yum.
I'm more on the truck driver, meat, cheesy kind of palate for my personal self.
Same right here. I mean, I'm excited that you're offering all of those things, but I want all the meat and all the cheese.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
So we're on the same page. So walk me through, because I know you were at Millie's, and then you were Lollapalooza, and then you were cooking for Jay-Z, and then you were on Phish tour, correct? Walk me through your history.
Well, I started cooking when I moved back to Richmond in, I guess, 2001. I started at Millie's, and I was kind of learned and so much there, working with so many good chefs there. And I worked at Cuba a little bit, and I did some traveling, came back, still went back to work there. So I was there a long time. I was there like 13 or 14 years. And then a friend of mine that did this tour chefing, the company he worked for needed people and called me up, and I started with Bon Jovi that year, about 8 years ago.
What is that call like? That a first call was like, we're going to pull you out of this fan restaurant and we're going to put you on tour with Bon Jovi. Like, what's going through your mind at that moment?
It's a pretty wild change, but I was pretty ready for a change of scenery for sure. I hopped right on it.
Were you a Bon Jovi fan growing up? What kind of music were you, as a child, were you into?
Definitely not really. I mean,
definitely not really.
Parents definitely drilled some classic rock into me, but I definitely like punk and reggae as, younger age. That's about it, really.
Punk and reggae, huh?
Classic rock, punk, reggae.
Not Bon Jovi at all. So what's
not
it like?
Not really Bon Jovi.
So when you're on tour with Bon Jovi, are you? And we're going to talk about Phish. Don't get me wrong. But when you're on tour with Bon Jovi, are you in the concerts every night? Are you working behind the scenes all the time? Are you?
Yep, we're backstage.
The concert?
Yep, they set us up somewhere different every venue, and we're all in all the backstage world.
Wow, so you're backstage just looking at them, or just?
Yeah, we're usually working when they're on. We can go out there and go steal a few songs, but it's usually load out time for us. So it's time to pack everything up, get it on the truck, get showers, and get to the bus, get to the next city.
So for those that have never cooked on a tour or understand the inner workings, me being one of them, you're talking how many people, first of all?
Well, if you're like for Phish, I was just doing the band, so I really just have to worry about the band and their families. When you do the total tour catering, you have to do everybody, everyone that's backstage, A party, B party, C party, truck drivers, light techs, everybody.
And so is that like 500 people, or is that like
the biggest one I
150?
did was the Jay-Z Beyonce tour. We were at about 400 a meal.
And do you have weird requests?
Yeah, sure. There's definitely a lot of quirky dietary restrictions all over the place.
Can you name a couple of them? But you don't have to name names, but can you name the weird dietary requests?
Lectin, Allergies. It's basically lectins in the skin of everything. So the skin of all vegetables. So you can't have any vegetable skins in anything. That was a weird one.
So when you're feeding 400 people and one person has that allergy, you're making a big buffet for $399 and one plate on the side for that person, or how's that work?
Well, everything has to be meticulously labeled, that's for sure, for all the allergies. So when you have a tour of 400 people you're cooking for, there's going to be a big list of allergies. So any of the ones we have, you label up. So everything's labeled on the buffets and lines, so everyone knows.
And how do you keep from cross-contamination? Because I can't imagine they give you this massive kitchen space to work with.
Well, we have a lot of front of the house people kind of maintaining things up there, but I mean, nothing's 100%. You just do the best you can.
Hope for all good things. So John Bon Jovi and his crew, or Bon Jovi, I guess. I mean, I obviously really think that he's cute, so that's the first one that comes to mind when I talk about Bon Jovi. I don't know anything about his music. And then Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Well, I did that next 2 years ago. No, I went after Bon Jovi. The next one was Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart for a couple tours.
So is this
I know his music. I love Rod Stewart.
Yeah, he was pretty great.
So here's a question for you. Are they hiring Jim Hamilton, or are they hiring a company that then hires Jim Hamilton?
They were hiring a company. I was like kind of freelance, really.
Okay.
Independent contractor.
And in between those shows, in between those contracts, are you coming back to Richmond and cooking, or are you?
Yeah, I was. Come back and
for a bit.
Do some line cooking jobs or did some catering and stuff. But last few years I haven't, because I've been busy enough to come home for 2 or 3 months, and I'm off for 2 or 3 months.
And you mentioned that you started cooking. You came back to Richmond in the early 2000s, but you grew up in Richmond. We didn't cover that part yet. Did you grow up here?
No, I grew up in Kilmarnock, Virginia, or Northern Neck, which is about an hour and a half east of here on the bay, little town.
And what part of your upbringing do you think has bled into your cooking styles, or has it not?
Definitely like the local seafood down there, crabs and shellfish, oysters, and local fish are definitely big for us. So I'm into all that. I mean, that doesn't really work very well for burritos, but in a lot of my other cooking it does. Did
you work in restaurants down there in high school or growing up?
I did. I worked at an Italian restaurant called the Medici's.
Is that still around?
Yeah, that was the first restaurant job. Well, McDonald's was the first restaurant job when I was 14, but that didn't last long.
We could move from that to the Italian. I like it. That's a good move, from sweet French fries to good Italian food.
Yeah.
Kilmarnock's a great place for seafood. Great fish too. Lots of spot.
And what brought you to Richmond? What brought you to Richmond between?
VCU first. I went to VCU.
What did you study at VCU? Chemistry
and biology.
So you took that on.
Well, I didn't finish.
He's too busy touring with Phish, Scott. He does not. He's good.
I went sailing for a while.
Literally or figuratively?
Literally.
Okay. You never know. Just making sure we're on the same page here. Where did you sail?
I worked on a yacht for about 10 months between Newport, Rhode Island and Georgia. And then I also took like a long boat trip with a buddy when I was like 20, and we went down to Central America for like a year.
So wait, were you on the yachts like those reality TVs? You were the chef and you had to wander around and be nice?
I was just a sailor. I was the deckhand, first mate.
You were first mate, but was it similar to that? Was there drama and like sleeping arrangements that were weird?
No, it wasn't too bad. There was only 2 of us. It was a small yacht, so it was just minimal.
If it was drama, it was just
drama. There was still drama.
And so you said you went down to South America or Central America?
Central America. Yeah.
And for a whole year, what were you doing down there?
Well, we took our time getting down to Key. We ran out of money in Key West, worked in Key West for a few months, saved up some money, and then went down to Central America. We were in Central America probably 4 months.
Working or just hanging out? Or
we were just hanging out, sailing around. Started in Mexico, went to Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, back to Belize.
I don't say this much to any of our guests or to anyone really, but I think I want your life. Like, I think
you got to go out and get it.
I had to come back and do it all again. I think Jim Hamilton is who I want to be.
You'd like to be a good salesperson and then the chef for Phish, Scott?
I mean, a good salesperson? Yes.
Yeah.
A good salesperson. And yeah, I mean, I think so. And the burrito gig sounds awesome too. So I mean, it's all around good times.
And now if we could get from the Phish conversation to the burrito conversation, we'll be able to talk about the awesome burrito gig. But we're still
go ahead.
We're still working through his tours.
I know.
Bon Jovi, Rod Stewart, who else?
Katy Perry was next. That was a big one. After Katy Perry was Imagine Dragons.
You literally have everybody. I mean, it's like you fed everybody. It sounds like the whole top 20.
Then it was The Weeknd, and I did like 5 tours with The Weeknd.
Can you just text The Weeknd right now and ask him what snacks he'd want tonight because you were in town?
I don't have his number right now.
Stalker.
I would totally be like, yes, I can. No.
Yeah.
So The Weeknd and then Phish?
No, after The Weeknd, I did U2 in South America. That was a big one.
I would say so. I mean,
that was pretty wild.
So when
this is my favorite name drop ever. I just want you to know that you have like so nonchalant flex.
So damn calm.
Like, you too. Mic drop.
That's why they love him around, I bet, because he's so damn calm.
I know. I would be like, I mean, seriously, if he's like the biggest flex when he was just like, oh, I believe U2 was next.
So when Bono walks in the room for dinner, you don't care? It's just another client?
Well, the band on that tour had their own private chef, so we're just taking care of the crew.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're big enough; they got their own.
Understood.
So after U2, who's next? I need more mic drop.
After U2, who is next? I guess.
There's been so many we can't even remember. Back to The Weeknd, of course.
Maybe Hugh Jackman. That was last. Oh no, Jay-Z and Beyonce were next. Then Hugh Jackman.
The Wolverine.
Yeah.
What does Hugh Jackman do? He does like a
he sings like all his like show tunes from his musicals. It's actually really good. He was awesome.
He's very talented.
We found someone that he likes finally. He likes Hugh Jackman. Okay.
He likes Rod Stewart too. We share the same music.
Wait, he said punk and reggae, and then he likes Hugh Jackman and Rod Stewart. So.
I like it all.
Me too.
So I have a question about Beyonce and Jay-Z because that would be
Of course you do.
We didn't ask about those.
Probably the people that I worked for I know the least about, but go ahead.
Well, to be honest, I don't know much about them either, except that they're super famous.
Yeah, so, they had a wall around them, that's for sure.
So is that tour just like next level compared to everybody else that you worked for, or are all those people kind of next level?
On the scale, it was crazy. I mean, it's like the biggest tour in the world at the time, no matter what. So, and we were in the biggest stadiums. It's just massive massive production. It had 120 some trucks, for the rig.
And what year is this? I'm trying to get my you mentioned so many places.
2 years ago, I think.
Oh, so just 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Okay. So when she goes on tour, it's not really Jay-Z's tour; it's her tour, right? Or did he sing too?
Yeah, her production company is in charge for sure.
Gotcha. That's how it works. Understood.
Yes, it is girl power, Scott. Girl power.
Is the queen bee? Does she park in the city for a couple of days, or is it literally just all the biggest cities in the world that she's going to like every other day?
It would take a while to build any of these stages. So we'd come into a city and there'd be a couple days of building out. Actually, there was double advanced crews. So there's advanced teams hopscotching 2 cities ahead to start building the build out, weeks in advance or a week in advance.
And so when you're cooking for the same people, because the crew is the same, right? It's a touring crew.
Yeah.
So you're cooking for the same people essentially every night. Is there pressure on you to come up with something new and special every night, or is it like we love Jim's?
Yeah, we definitely like the menus, especially once you get 4 months in. It's hard to like come up with new ideas every time, But
is that pressure you're putting on yourself, or you just it is what it is?
Well, when I write the menus, I'd use all my chefs from the kitchen, play to people's strengths and kind of write the menus together, honestly, and then I'd plan for them.
And are you cooking in buses? Are you cooking in venues? Are you cooking in hotels? Where are these meals being prepared?
We're cooking in venues. We'll get to places and they'll have a place. We have advanced sheets so they know what we'll need. They'll have power and water run to us. Everything, our whole rig and kitchen will come off of a truck. We'll be the first truck to unload. Everything will roll into place. Everything's electric, so they'll hardwire our distro box, hardwire to a 400 watt or 400 amp breaker or something, and then we can plug all of our electrics into it.
And
so nothing can go wrong, right? You guys totally have had no issues
so easy.
ever. No problems. Everything sounds super simple. So
no stress at all. Super
of course
smooth
not.
all the time.
So is there a in the front of your mind, probably because this sounds very complicated, is there like a time when you were like, oh, holy fuck, what just happened? What am I going to do? Like one of those tour stories?
Yeah, we've gotten to cities and the promoter has just totally missed our advance sheet and not had anything for us. Generally it goes pretty well, but there's been some hard times for sure.
So what do you do? Like you have no food, so you have to hit the Target for your oranges?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
Pretty kamikaze shopping, just going into Restaurant Depot or Costco and clearing out shelves and freaking people out.
I need every single banana you have.
yeah, exactly. Like, especially in the meat counters. Like, how much do you have? You're like, oh, all of it. Like, all of it and all of that and all of that,
Wow. How does that feel like the first time? How did that feel? Like, just like, oh gosh, what is my next step? Or we just got to get this out and nobody will know.
Yeah, it's just going. You're always going. You're on all the time. Just go. They don't have it, you go to the next place. Just get it done.
Man.
So when you're touring with these acts,
I'm sweating. I'm thinking about it, Scott. I'm like pitting out over here. I'm sweating for him and his zero meat.
That's awesome. Thank you for that vision. Thank you, Roby.
You're welcome.
So when you're touring with all these different acts, do you have your group of men and women who are like your team, or is it every tour somebody you were just thrown into a whole new situation?
Yep, we'll have our own catering crew. On Jay-Z and Beyonce, we had 19 people in all, including our dressing room people and advanced people. And then a bus full of people. We had 11 people on the bus that were on the kitchen and work in front of the house and stuff.
So, but when you go from like, say, U2 to Katy Perry, is it the same people for each tour? Or is it all totally different?
Totally different. I bounce between companies too. So depending on what company, I mean, a lot of them, you'll see the same people, invariably.
What are the companies, if you don't mind me asking? What are the companies that handle this?
I work for Delico, and they're out of Germany. And then another company out of Seattle called Black Caviar I work for a lot. And I used to work for Eat Your Hearts Out of London, and Goddess Catering out of Chicago.
And all that came from that one friend who recommended you work for Bon Jovi. Like it all kind of just sprung from that?
Yeah, you just start meeting people and networking really quickly.
They're no longer friends. That first John Bon Jovi dude. It's like too much.
We're very close, actually.
I'm joking. I'm totally joking. That was a complete joke. Yeah. Total joke.
So again, if this is too personal, just tell me to shut up. But is the money you make on these kind of tours like just insane compared to like what a normal line chef would make working at a fan restaurant?
Yeah, it's much better. Much better.
Not too much. That's too much, is Roby.
I counted. I totally counted. That's why he and the guy are still friends, because they know what they're doing. Yeah. Okay, so we are 972 famous people in, and we've hit Hugh Jackman
2 years ago. We're in 2018.
Are we at the moment where you may pass out, Scott? Are we at Phish?
Jim?
Yeah, we're at Phish. Let's do Phish. Yeah, we're there. It's Phish after Hugh.
So I'm going to, a couple of caveats, Jim, if you don't mind. We put Roby and I both, every guest we have, we put questions on social media. What should we ask our guest this week about their life or their job? And normally we get a handful of questions to ask our guests. Today, when we mentioned we were interviewing you, we got more than 100 questions that came in about your experience with Phish. Now, I'm a Phish nerd. Roby is a Phish novice. We're going to save these viewer questions for the end of the podcast, because if it gets too nerdy, I'm just going to cut it off and we'll just like put it somewhere else for only the Phish people can kind of talk about.
Right.
So I'm going to let Roby start it off with just in general. Or first of all, I'll ask the first question if you don't mind. Actually, let me change my background here. I have a whole thing set up for you, Jim.
Okay.
First of all, I'm wearing my Phish shirt.
I'm wearing a Phish shirt.
Oh, I love it. I love you.
I'm also wearing a Phish shirt.
You're not. All right. I got Phish in the
No
background.
one can see that. They totally would have known. It's a podcast, not a
Great Phish shirt. Oh, but I couldn't see it because your pits were staining all the way through the Phish shirt.
Yes.
Tough to tell. All right, Jim. You being a punk and reggae fandom, did you like Phish before they hired you to be their chef?
I'm not a Phish fan. I did go to some shows in high school.
Which shows did you attend, Jim?
Mainly in Hampton, I guess.
Hampton?
Anytime they came to Hampton.
That's a great place to see them.
Yeah.
1997, 98. What are we talking about?
Yeah, it'd be like 96, 97.
Okay. 96, 97. It's October of 96, I believe. It was probably Saturday night. I think I was there.
All right. We were both there.
Hope I don't screw this up.
I don't remember much of it.
I missed 97 and 98, but I was there for 99. That was in December.
I was over it by then.
Okay, you're over it by then. Oh, this is kind of heartbreaking. All right, no worries, no worries. All right, so when Phish, tell us how you got hooked up with Phish. How that all happened.
Company I was working for, Black Caviar, set me up to do the Baker's Dozen at MSG a few years ago.
And in summer of 17, I believe.
Yeah, so I did that, and then I've done all their New Year's shows there. And then last year, they're like, "We really liked having you backstage. You can come on the road with us."
So in 2019, you toured with them the whole year?
Yeah.
Including Mexico?
Yep.
Mexico, and then the summer tour, and then they played that really short tour in the fall, right?
Yeah.
Charleston and...
Yeah, actually, I only did Mexico this year. Last year, the venue wouldn't let them bring outside chefs.
Okay. All right, so Roby, I'm going to pass the baton to you while I collect myself.
I was going to say, you look like you're getting sweaty.
Get my next series of questions organized, so go ahead, Roby.
Okay, so there's something about Paige and sandwiches? Like,
not that I know of. I know he does have a sandwich thing. He does like barbecue a lot.
So that's a bunch of questions I have.
I think that's more of like an inside joke kind of between the fans and Paige.
Yeah.
So that's like, I mean, like I probably have 20 questions asking if you ever make the sandwiches for Paige, or does he do all of that himself?
I do make sandwiches for Paige sometimes.
There's that.
So when Paige comes to you and says, make me a sandwich, what are you gonna rattle off for him?
He usually doesn't. I make a menu the night after the show for the next day, and they get that in the morning, and they always just order off of the menu. Sometimes there's a sandwich on there, sometimes there's not.
Paige, by the way, Roby, is the piano player and vocalist, just in case you were curious about that.
I was thinking I probably wasn't going to be able to sleep tonight without knowing. So I'm glad that we have covered that. Okay, I have. How often does Trey actually have a Cliff Bar?
That I do have no idea. I don't.
Do they eat Phish food ice cream?
No.
I don't like your questions. You don't have good questions.
I have great questions. Do you make grilled cheeses? Because people like those on the lot. What does that even mean?
No. Well,
being that the band is all middle-aged now and maybe has to watch their weight, has the food changed?
They do eat very healthy. That's for sure.
So what does that mean exactly? What does healthy mean in this context?
Well, 3 out of the 4 are dairy free, and I think they're all gluten free now. Or at least 3 out of the 4 are gluten free. It's a plant-based plant and vegetable based diet really. Most of the proteins they do eat are fish.
There you go. You were asking about that. All right, here's a question from Bob at Hunt.
That was a good one. Hold on. Don't stop it. Stop it. 4 people asked me, are you hiring?
No.
Okay, go ahead, Scott. I'm done now. No more sandwich talk.
Okay. All right. So the Cliff Bar reference is from a song that Trey sings, by the way. I'm just telling you. You're asking, you're just kind of throwing these questions out like they're serious, but, anyway, it's from lyrics. All right. So this is from Bob at Hunt the Snark on Twitter. Did you, Jim, ever make a meal that someone in the band totally refused to eat, and why was it Mike?
Probably, but I don't know about it. All the plates usually come back empty.
Okay. Now, Mike is
maybe they're too nice to tell me. Maybe I don't know.
Is Mike vegan? Is that something that I heard? Is that
Mike is vegan? Yeah.
And so, are you making separate dishes for him? And
I make a menu. When I make the menu, I always put a couple vegan options on there.
Okay.
So.
When you were in Mexico, this is from @Hannah J857-81678. When you were in Mexico, what were those meals like cooking for the band? Those were their last concerts. I mean, you know this obviously, but those are the last Phish concerts.
Well, the seafood down there was really good, so we had a really, really good fresh seafood, and that's the best thing you can get there because it's basically a desert other than that. But I had a really good local guy there to help me, and he found everything I needed. So it's basically typical for them, plant-based and with a lot of fish.
And you said you're cooking for the band and their families. That's it, not the crew, not the.
You totally missed that joke there, Scott. Fish for fish. I mean, come on. He just lobbed that right up to you, and you just didn't even take it. All right, focus. Keep going.
Okay. @Peapod McGee wants to know, and we kind of touched this earlier with the Jay-Z, but are you prepping food in hotels along the tour route? How does that work? Do you book kitchens in advance of the tour? Is it
no? It's all backstage. We're there so long. We're there all day long. We get there so early in the morning. Don't leave till past midnight.
I just got a couple more here for you. @Richard Nash wants to know, do your menus reflect the localities where the band is touring? So for instance,
absolutely,
serving crab cakes at Merriweather Post.
Absolutely. Soft shells in Merriweather Post, lobsters in Maine, salmon in Washington, yada, yada, yada.
All right, now maybe I might go on tour with Phish, but only if I can be part of the seasonal food preferences.
So when they drop the tour dates, is your mind, like fans are saying, how do I get from, Chicago to...
I'm looking for my days off. When the tour dates drop, I'm looking for the gaps.
Right. After you figure out your gap days,
3 days off in San Francisco, yes.
It's breaking my heart. After you get your days off figured out, are you looking at the map saying, well, what's Austin, Texas going to be, or what's
Sure, totally. Like getting brisket in Texas, and
He's hitting the Pecan Lounge like 50 times and then headed back. Yep.
You mentioned a few of the tour stops. Are there any other cities or inspirations that come to mind as places that you love to cook?
I love Spain. Spain's one of my favorite places to go. Scandinavia is fun. Shopping in Copenhagen is unbelievable.
Let me rephrase the question. I'm in on Phish tour.
Oh, on Phish tour. No, one good thing about Phish though is they play.
Was good. Don't mess him up. I like the idea of shopping in Copenhagen. I think that sounds baller.
They play a lot of like out there gigs. They're like like Blossom and gigs that aren't like right in the city. Whereas most of the people I've been with, they're always in major metropolitan areas. They're gonna play the Gorge and they would play Red Rocks if we went that way. The smaller, out of the way kind of places.
So Wu from New Hampshire wants to know how much does the food vary from band member to band member? Can you tell that they're ordering the same foods, or on your menu are they ordering all different things?
They'll order all different things, and when I write the menu, I pretty much know who's going to order what, because some have, once you cook for them long enough, you kind of know what they like. But
so tomorrow is Trey's birthday, September 30th. This podcast is going to drop after his birthday, so happy birthday, Trey. If I were a fan and I wanted to get Trey something for his birthday that he would absolutely love to eat, what would I get Trey?
He loves a fresh cut of fish. He likes things clean and fresh. I mean, I don't really know specifically, but
that's cool. Last question I have from a fan, that is, how much input does the band have in the menu that you create? Like, are they suggesting things along the way? I have a hankering for a meatball.
Yeah, some guys do. Some guys, tell you exactly what they want. Some don't. Depending on who.
Is there one of the guys that is more vocal than the rest?
No. Phish particularly, they're really easygoing guys. So, I'll notice that they're not ordering some kind of foods, and then I'll kind of move that off the menu.
Now, this past summer, they've been doing a dinner and a movie weekly. Not weekly anymore, but they were releasing a concert on YouTube and on Facebook, and they were having their fan community cook a meal together that is suggested by the band members. And I saw more than once your name popped up as the inspiration for a particular meal. What was that? What were those conversations like with you? Or did they even talk to you about it, and it just kind of happened? Or how did that come about?
The management company called me and asked me to put some menus or recipes together for them. Just it was fun, at least to communicate with them at some point.
And these are my last questions, Roby.
No, I love it. I'm great. I'm hoping you'll pronounce shishito pepper for him from the recipe that he did for one of those movies, because that was a good time before he got on this podcast with us.
I was showing Roby some of the recipes that you suggested. You mentioned you're not a huge fan of the music, which, they're the kind of band, either you love them or you don't really care for them. There's not really a middle ground so much. Was there a particular show or song that you have heard in your time that you kind of liked, that you kind of like, it moved you a little bit?
They got a lot of tunes I like. I mean, and they're really good with their covers. I specifically remember New Year's 2 years ago, and they dropped all the balloons from the ceiling, and my wife was there, and we went out there and had a great time. I mean, beautiful. Not that I dislike it. It's just,
it's not your scene. That's cool. Yeah. It's all good. Great. Do you have the show posters that you're willing to sell? Fans in need?
No, I get a lot of requests.
I'm sure you do. I'll buy a whole bunch of burritos. I'll buy a whole bunch of burritos if you want to make a trade. I'll get like 200 burritos for some show posters. No, not going to happen.
Yeah, I'll make some calls. Let's see.
Fair enough.
Oh gosh, that's a great segue because Roby, would like to know about burritos. So
let's talk about burritos.
Yes, can we talk about burritos?
Wah, wah, wah.
I know. You guys can get to Phish in a second. You can do a whole different podcast just discussing Golgi bodies and I don't know what else. But so my assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you started this because you're not touring right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how does that happen? Like, what goes through your head? I'm really great at burritos.
I've got a friend and a silent partner that has been bugging me for years about it. And we always thought it was a good idea. I mean, especially business-wise, and you're not limited to like the size of a restaurant or what you can put out of a food truck. I mean, you could really scale things up. And so we did it. Said, might as well not do anything else. It's been fun.
You started with a philanthropic side to it, correct?
Yeah, we started right with that, yeah. So when we first started, it was a burrito, buy a burrito, give a burrito. We're not quite at that level yet, or anymore.
Because it's just gotten bigger.
Yeah, we're having a hard time keeping up with orders at this point.
And what does that look like? Like, can you give me an idea of how many burritos you're making on a weekly/monthly, or what your numbers are?
What are we doing a week now? 3,000 a week, maybe 2,000 a week.
Man,
Yeah.
lots of repeat customers or new people coming in?
Newer is happening, but I think we're a very, very high percentage of reordering. So typically the first order, they'll order the minimum of like 4 or 6 or something. And then the next week, the same family will order 25 or something. Yeah.
Now, I read on your website that you're only delivering within Metro Richmond right now. But I also know that Phish fans would love to eat food from the man who feeds the band. So is there any way that these can travel frozen or be shipped? Like if people around wanted to eat it, was it possible?
Yeah, we're young, so we're still figuring things out, obviously. But we would like to do some satellite delivery things. We just buy a big freezer truck and drive it from town to town. I don't know.
Like a Phish tour. Like you guys can be the official,
burrito tour.
And that's with Xavier from Nightingale, and you guys could just drive around in that big freezer truck.
See Xavier every day.
I'm sure you do. That's why I said that. You guys could just have a burrito/sandwich truck.
Yeah. You get your burrito on one side and your ice cream sandwich on the other.
Perfect. I'd go to that truck.
I would too.
Do you have any insight? And this is not just a Phish related question, but do you have any insight from like your business ties, like how, like once a vaccine occurs and once we feel like we're in a safe spot, like when your touring acts will be able to resume? Like, has anyone given you, like, what's the scuttlebutt in the industry?
Well, currently, everyone's very optimistic and hopeful, but who knows? I mean, right now, the next tour I've got scheduled will be Phish summer next year, so I'm hoping that happens. But
Me too. I got tickets to 4 concerts.
Yeah,
I'm going to 4 of them.
All right.
I was supposed to go to 4 this past summer, but
maybe we can link up. Check out the kitchen.
You just exploded his mind.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, if I'm not busy, if I'm not busy, we'll link up. It's all good. I'm laid back.
Oh, seriously.
I'm gonna go pass out now.
Oh gosh, Scott, you're killing me. I had a question about this. Oh, what do you have on the docket with respect to Phish, and just so you guys can continue to be connected before next summer?
Not much. There's a couple threads of a bunch of us that were on the tour that were friends, and we were doing some group calls, but they kind of stopped. But we're all in touch a little bit.
And how about you and Beyonce?
I don't think I've ever really spoken to her. So.
I bet you she likes burritos. Once again, a segue. Tell me how I can get your burritos. Go online, just put a bunch of orders in, and there I am.
Where are you? Where do you live?
I'm in the city of Richmond, so I'm right in your delivery range.
Oh, eatsouscasa.com.
And you said the chicken enchilada should be my foray, my gateway burrito?
That's my favorite. It's not, it's like a bowl, so it's not like a burrito per se, but it's darn good.
Very cool. All right, Scott, I think we're burrito perfect. So if you have more Phish things, you can either stop the recording or you guys can start another one and I can leave.
I think I've tapped Jim for all his Phish knowledge. He seems like he's been very forthcoming, Well,
I still work for him kind of, so I don't want to get fired or anything.
I don't blame you. I would feel terrible. Yes, I'm assuming there's an NDA involved somewhere. I don't want to cross that line, so I can respect that for sure. I didn't have a question, actually. I'm sorry, Roby.
No, that's okay. I knew you were going to do it. I was just waiting.
2018, you were working for them? Or no, you weren't yet?
Well, I'd already done, I think I did
Baker's Dozen, you said.
the MSG thing for them. Yeah.
Sorry. So there was a day they were on their way to Hampton and they stopped the bus in Richmond, I guess, because they were all walking around Carytown. They were walking around Richmond. Mike was filming videos of himself walking into restaurants and stuff. Is that something I know he does that a lot in different cities, but is it something that did you lead him directions or he just kind of wanders?
No, Mike's definitely out doing his own thing for sure.
But I mean, were you like, this is my hometown? Like, for me, it strikes me as a little odd but cool that they're walking around Richmond when they're playing in Hampton. I realize it's close and it was a day off, but it just that's the way it was.
Yeah, I don't even know about that because I guess I wasn't on that tour, so
Yeah, that was October of 2018.
I wasn't on them. I was somewhere else.
I understood.
It was Jay and Bay.
So the Baker's Dozen, obviously there was a huge Jay and Bay. You know, Jay-Z played with Phish one time. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, they shared the stage in Brooklyn.
Well, that sounds great.
It was interesting,
Yeah.
to say the least. I think the Phish fans kind of freaked out a little bit.
You're like a Phish encyclopedia, Scott.
Some days there are people that know much more than I. The Baker's Dozen, the donut theme. Did you have any role in that, or that was totally separate?
I definitely ate a lot of donuts. That's for sure.
Did you have a favorite?
Federal donuts delivered every day.
Did you have a
Oh,
favorite?
yum! I love those donuts. Did you get any chicken?
I'm sure we had chicken. I don't remember exactly what I had, but I had at least one of every flavor.
Nice.
Is there a venue that is just kind of the pits that you just don't like working?
Yeah, there's a few venues. When you see if these venues on the thing. Oh God.
Is your hometown Hampton Coliseum? I realize it's kind of an old venue. So I don't know if is it.
I've never played it. I never worked in Hampton Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
I imagine it's not great being old and not very well traveled.
Right. All right. Maybe after I end the recording, you can tell me some of the ones that you don't like.
Well, I mean, he's been in so many cities, and you've been had days off in them. And you've obviously eaten at lots and lots of restaurants, lots and lots and lots. Coming back to Richmond before COVID, what did you think of our restaurant scene?
Our restaurant scene's pretty hitting. I mean, it's pretty decent. I mean, I feel like it's maybe oversaturated, but because I know a lot of people that have restaurants, and it's hard to find people because it's so many jobs and so few people that are available. But it is a good scene, I think.
So I don't love it when people ask me what my favorite restaurant is in Richmond, because I'm like, well, man, that's like so tough. So I always work back from like the last 5 restaurants I went to, because obviously in that 5, I must have gone to one I liked or I would have gone. So what are the last 5 restaurants you went to before COVID in Richmond?
In Richmond, Mama Zoo's, Dutch and Company, Stella's. What's the last 2? Can't remember the last 2, honestly.
Those 3 are delicious. So I mean, that's awesome. Do you hit up Millie's ever anymore, being that you have a little pass there?
Stop in and say hello to the people I still know there. But I live near there too, so I'm good friends with the owner too.
Well, I would hope so. That it would make sense. And are you getting any good to go right now? Anywhere that you want to drop some knowledge on? Because I feel like you'd know.
Every time I go on DoorDash or something, it's a bunch of new places, and we seem to be trying a new place every time these days. So I don't have anything right offhand I could drop. I don't think.
Well, that's okay, because I feel like I do the same thing. I think to myself, I guess I'll get this Mediterranean food right now just to see if it's delicious. So I totally understand. Well, you're listening to Eat It, Virginia with Jim Hamilton, the Phish touring chef, and Roby and Scott.